Thanks for tuning in to the Empire Boxing Podcast. A huge thank you to our partners at Sting Boxing. It doesn't matter if you're into boxing for fitness, as an amateur, or as a pro, Sting has something for you. Head to their website, stingsports.ca, and use the code EMPIRE10 at the checkout to receive 10% off.
An Empire Boxing and Unlearning Network production.
Welcome back to the Empire Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jay, and we are breaking the fast. It's been about 3 weeks since we've been in the studio, and I'm hungry for this podcast. I'm so excited to introduce you our guest, Dejan. He is a pro MMA fighter, record of 15-7-2 on a current 7-fight win streak. Head coach and owner of Universal MMA. He's representing today as well. I love to see it. Former 185-pound BFL champ, current 170 and 175 BFL champ, a BJJ black belt under Drysdale, and ranked number 1 in Canada. And what's the weight class? Welter?
Welterweight and super welterweight
division. So I mean, a stunning record, a man who's very well known in the community. You were actually mentioned to me by one of my podcast listeners as well. They were like, "Hey, here's a list of people. You got to get them on the podcast." And I was looking through the list, and I found you on Instagram, and I thought,
Perfect.
"Oh my God,
best
this is
$20 ever spent."
Yeah, exactly. And I told the guy to take a hike. I took his information, and that was it.
Yeah. He made $20 quick, and I got a show right
that's
here.
it. So. But like on that note, if you love the podcast and you love listening, and you have people in the community you'd love me to talk to, then you set up super special moments like this. So welcome to the studio. Thanks for coming through.
I appreciate for having me, man. It's awesome. I've like I said, I heard things about it and stuff, so I'm excited to, share some shit, bullshit some things, and make up some stuff.
Yeah,
so
we're gonna chat shit about fighting, chat shit probably about people too. And our pre-show was awesome. Like, I mean, you've got some wicked nuggets, and I can't wait to learn more about you as well. Let's start at the very beginning then, shall we?
Let's go.
Okay, so you were born in Bosnia.
Bosnia, yeah.
What age did you find martial arts?
I found it in my late teens.
Okay.
Yeah. I found it in my late teens and stuff like that, and the scariest thing I've ever done, and it still scares the shit out of me as a result. It's my cheapest therapy. I can afford to fucking iron out any bullshit inside my head.
Yeah. Now, when you say like the scariest thing you've ever done, did you really have to overcome like an intrinsic hurdle?
No, I
to
didn't
get there?
have to overcome, but like I say, any martial arts, like every other sport, right? Before you compete, what do you got to do? You got to hype yourself up. You got to hype up the team.
Get on the psych train.
Because I got to make you care about a basketball. I ain't got to make you care about your safety. So it's the only sport you ask athletes to calm down. Right?
So true.
Yeah, it's the only sport you're asking people to chill the fuck out, not hype themselves up.
Yeah.
Right? So when you go in there, it is the scariest thing you do because it's your safety.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's why.
That's actually a really good point. You're right. Like, you're right. When you're in a team sport too, you can come in with a bit of nervous energy because you got people to fall back on.
Yeah.
There's 5 other players, on the court or on the ice or whatever it is. But yeah, in combat sports, like you need to be able to make decisions. We were talking about, in the pre-show, we were talking about processing rate of decisions, like, let's say striking versus grappling. We'll get into that, but you have to have a certain level of cool, calm, and collected to make good decisions.
100%.
To make reads, etc. right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I always talked about the same thing, is that an emotional, logical decisions, right? The more scared we are, the more emotional we make as a result. We're not thinking a step ahead, right? And that's, like I said, in everywhere I go, and I preach this all the time, like martial arts truly does give you, like the greatest gift, to process intelligent info under a stressful environment. And nothing comes more stressful when your safety is on the line, right? And then the ability to stay calm and react logically, not emotionally, is a huge gift you can give to anybody. So.
Yeah. And I think even non-fight fans who maybe, or like don't know the intricacies because they haven't been on the other side of it, can see that play out. Like, everyone's watched a fight when they know someone has reacted emotionally or gone in emotionally. And you're right. It usually goes very badly.
Well, even in like if you spar or even if you roll one round, they get to know who you are better than going on 10 coffee dates, right? Because you all know who the asshole is off the mat. He's an asshole on the mat. Who's a nice guy off the mat. He's a nice guy on the mat. So if you roll, let's say jiu-jitsu, you kind of get to see your core values under pressure. You know what I mean? How do you abuse the power if somebody's better than you, if you're better than somebody, so your true personality comes out, right? So I really get to know you like on the mats way, way more better, more intimately than I do ever off the mats.
Yeah. So what has martial arts taught you about yourself?
It's not that it teaches you anything, at least for me. It teaches you everything. Let me put it that way, right? It teaches you everything, but it's a good tool to iron out any bullshit, right? If you think you're working hard and you're tough and you step on the mats with the professionals or guys at the higher level and stuff, they kind of exposes the bullshit you build within yourself to make yourself look successful, right? And if you think you're tough, then go wake up 6 a.m, go for a run, step in the cage, do the dieting, make the weight cut. There's all these little kind of how do I say them, like quality controls. The martial arts inputs them by default, right?
Yeah.
Which makes sure that not anybody can go through those rings of fire, right? And if you do, you got to adapt, you got to grow, and more important, you got to be honest with yourself. So that's what it is. So it just develops you to be a better human being within yourself.
I couldn't agree more. What's up, boxing fans? Coach Jay here from the Empire Boxing Podcast. Love to shout out our partners at the Before Company, my favorite toothpaste right now. If you go online and make an order between now and December 31st using the code EMPIRE in all caps, you will get a free tube of toothpaste sent with your order. So be sure to hit up that promotion, and we will see you next time. Now, going back to early teens, you're finding martial arts. Which martial art did you get into first?
I started into boxing. I'm actually,
No way.
I started into boxing. My first one, it was this, so I started in MBI boxing that used to be on Hastings and Gilmore, used to be underneath a strip club, long time ago. And then the bus route that I was taking, they kind of moved to another place. And then I was with this Romanian, this Russian guy. They were boxing in Astoria.
Yeah,
and
through the liquor store.
Yeah, but through the liquor store.
Humble beginnings under the strip clubs and liquor stores of the
there
world.
There we go.
There you go. That sounds like boxing to me.
Yeah, sounds about right. And then I walked in there, and then I don't know. I just walked in. There was like kind of a Rocky movie. You know what I mean? And they scared the shit out of me, and I was like, "Holy shit! This is." I just couldn't. Nothing else did it for me. After I used to play a lot of basketball, a lot of soccer, a lot of other sports, and after I just couldn't care.
Yeah,
and it just hooked me.
Yeah.
Hooked me. The honesty of martial arts just fucking it just exposed everything to me that I wanted to know about myself.
It's the ultimate equalizer, really, isn't
it?
Now, okay, so you started in boxing. Did you know right away that you wanted to go and fight competitively?
No, but one thing I'm good at is like a bullshit meter. I have a hard time bullshitting myself. So I was like, so I got into boxing, never did anything. I really enjoyed it. And I was like, oh, well, what if somebody kicks you? You know, and then I went into this local gym, you know, for kickboxing and stuff, and I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
And then somebody mentioned Muay Thai, and I had no clue. So
You're
I just
like the drink? Like, what?
yeah, I didn't know. I was an immigrant. I didn't know very well. And then I just did some research, and like Thailand came up, and I was like, holy shit. And I went to my mom, and I had some money saved for, and then I just went and bought a ticket the next day.
Yeah.
And I went to Thailand, and I go to my mom, I'm going to Thailand. I was like 20, 21. She's like, what's Thailand? I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know, Mom. It's just this place that's so-called all the best Muay Thai guys go there, and that's the next level from boxing. So I just went there, lived and stayed in the gym, and I just competed until I was like, when you come back? I'm like, when I run out of money.
Yeah.
And I just went to the one-way ticket, and I went to the gym called Suwit. That was the first gym that I emailed 3-4 gyms. First gym that got back to me. I bought a ticket right on the spot, went to my mom, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
And after I came back, it's just evolution. Like, what if somebody takes you down? And I got into MMA, and
right.
And
so the
that's
curiosity kind of killed the cat here. Like you just kept asking questions. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're in fucking Thailand.
Yeah, and then never.
So did your mom have a heart attack? What was that like for her? She was like, okay.
Well, one thing you learn in a Eastern European family is like a strong mother.
Okay.
So yeah. So she's
so
sweet and stuff.
So what was scarier, going to Thailand or telling your mom you were going to Thailand?
Emotional baggage or physical? Physical was Thailand. Emotional was mother.
Yeah.
Like that, but no, she you know, mom's her mom, you know what I mean, to this day as well. But yeah, I just didn't care. I'm always the guy that follow the heart.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
So you get there, you're surrounded by this like in totally new environment, totally new disciplines, physical disciplines. What was that like? What was it like getting stuck into that?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, right away you just knew.
And also when I went, even like I'm the weird guy. I go to Thailand, I don't drink. I don't go out, I don't party, I don't do anything because even when I'm here, sometimes you all get into trouble, you know, and then you always kind of have an excuse that there's distraction. When I do go to my training camp and when I dream, and I always ask for a perfect like, you know, environment to train in. So when I do go there, I just soak up as much as I can. I'm literally on the mat 2-3 hours in the morning, then I go on my own in the afternoon, and a couple of times, and I'm there like 3 times a day, every day, and trying to soak up as much. And I've always had the mentality of be a student of the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, especially in mixed martial arts, like we were talking about kind of boxing before, and you know, it's like you have the skills that encompass within boxing to perfect. But in martial arts, it's very interesting. It's like you have to get as good as you can at as many different aspects of different disciplines as possible. And how is that? Like that's such a hard thing to balance. Like I was recently just talking to Jamie Siraj about this. You know, how do you feel about how you expand that toolkit and what the perfect formula is when you're going about that as a mixed martial artist?
To me, it's easy. It's honesty.
Yeah.
Right? So first of all, I always say your personality dictates what type of fighter you're going to be. Why? Because fighting is risk management. If I tell you, hey, you want to flip a coin for $5 million, you'd be like, that's the stupidest bet. Somebody might say, I'll put 10 on it. So everybody's risk management is different, which means how we take chances and how we interpret danger and probability, and the odds are different, right? So when I walked into martial arts, I was like, okay, what are the key components? I'll never be a good wrestler, but I need a good double, a good single, and a good sprawl. I'll never be a good boxer, but what I need from a footwork and good jab, distance management, what I need for kickboxing, why I need a good low kick and a good knee, what I need for Muay Thai, clinching and elbowing. Right, so you got to kind of pick and choose who you are, what type of personality, what type of fighter you are, and as a result, you got to glue all the certain tools or shields that you want to be successful in a battle. But if somebody looks at the whole thing as martial arts, it's overwhelming.
Super overwhelming.
It's overwhelming, right? So you can't approach a complex problem from an outside. It's got to be within, which means that's what it's, again, martial arts come back to ironing out any bullshit you have within yourself, expose your holes and work on them.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And you know, deep down inside, one brain is weird. Once the brain figure out it can bullshit itself, your whole life can be based on that. It bullshit itself. It's weird. Brain is weird, right? And I always say, you want to sum up every single self-help book you ever read, call your own bullshit out.
Yeah.
Literally, that's all it is, right? And the minute you can be honest with yourself, the minute you can start growing and filling out anything you want to improve.
It's interesting, like, to hear you say that. You talk about it from a very intellectual perspective. Do you have a background in something else, like academia of some kind?
Just stupidity.
I have a PhD in being an idiot.
No, but I mean, listen, fighting is easy. Life is hard. Yeah. Right? I grew up in war. It's hard. It's hard. You know what I mean? And like I always talk about, one thing that my mom, I always learned from my mom. This is what I learned from my mom, was the power of consistent grind. Like, she when she came here, there's no money, like work 2-3 jobs, just stuck to it, put $20 aside, $40 aside,
just grafting.
200, just that constant, just grind and just this outlook on, like I tell people, the older you get, life doesn't become happier or sadder, it becomes heavier. Now that way it slows people down, or that way it makes you stronger. And as life goes on, I take pride. Pressure is a privilege. And I run towards expectations, right? So I take pride the fact that I can put a lot of weight to my shoulders and still carry that with somewhat good speed in life, right? And that's one thing I learned from my mom, and just show up every day and consistently grind. Right.
Who is the most influential coach in your career so far?
Depends. In what chapter am I?
Let's start with boxing.
It's like, in boxing was weird because nobody.
It just got you in the door, basically.
Well, boxing is such a lonely sport. I have so much respect for fucking boxers. So they're like weirdly unique to me as in wrestlers, but they're like opposite, right? Boxing is such a lonely sport. Just go fucking hit the bag for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and you fucking work hard, and then you hope you get attention of a coach. He looks at you, comes in there, makes one small adjustment on your hook, and then he fucks off for 3 weeks, and you're just doing that, hopefully, oh my God, this kid is hungry. So it's kind of like daddy issues in boxing. That's how I look at it.
Honestly, that's I have to agree. Like, you see that play out so many times. In positive ways and in negative ways.
But it's this weird, boxing is weird. This is where it fucking rubbed me the wrong way. Boxing is weird with this weird ownership. The fucking coaches feel this weird ownership.
It's my guy. It's my guy.
It's my this. It's my
it's
this. And it fucking rubbed me the wrong way, man. As an immigrant, nobody's got fucking power over me. You guys fucking insane, right? And that was one thing that in boxing, it's like, no. Like, hey, bro, like, give me some fucking love, and you earn it as well and all that stuff as well. But as soon as there's this weird ownership of like, you're this team, you got it, and I'm like, whoa, nobody fucking owns me.
It's true. It's interesting. Like, it's almost like clout chasing or something like that.
Yeah, well, and it becomes down this weird manipulation of like, well, I have all the answers, so therefore you need me. You know what I mean? And I always think, as a fighter, man, I always say a good teacher needs a good student, and a good student needs a good teacher, which means they both bring equal value to the table. And the minute you overshift the power, that's where imbalance and fucking power comes in play. And I don't want those types of relationships. So that's why I never kind of got deeper into boxing. And also I was really interested into Olympics and all that stuff. And I was a young kid, and we're poor. And then when your mom was, and then they're like, oh, there's no sponsorship. So, and then I remember the coach was saying, oh, it costs about $3,000 to $5,000 to go into Olympic boxing. And that was like, 15 plus years ago. And I was like telling a kid, $50,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
where the fuck am I going to get that from?
You're like, cool, so
yeah,
never.
cool.
Got it.
So, okay, so what's another cheaper sport than boxing? Oh, Muay Thai. So they're dumber.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go here. No,
And so was there a coach that stood out to you in the discipline of Muay Thai?
Yeah, I had quite a few. I had one with Joe Vasali from Dynamic MMA. He was a karate guy. He was like, like a generation before when the karate was big and stuff. And he was really a guy who kind of got me exposed into technical aspect of it. And then there's another local guy, Jason Fenton. He's really good technical and stuff. But I just kind of I don't know. I just found the best tool is ability to self-improve yourself, right? The minute I lean on somebody else for my success is the minute that's a losing recipe, right? So as a result, I was all over the place. I really got a chance to just travel the world and just dissect. And like, for example, if I spar against you and if you throw a left hook and you keep landing it, I'll pull you aside. Hey, do I suck or are you good? You'd be like, hey, bro, you suck. Well, why? Every time you throw a jab, your lead hand your power hand is down, so my left hook lands. Or if you're like, no, I'm good. Oh, what do you do? And I'm like, well, I jab, I step. So then I just started really dissecting and self-educating through my failures in martial arts. And that's how I kind of grew, because I was always lonely. And I was one of the first guys in the beginning here that just kind of went all over the place, because I figured out not everybody has all the answers.
Right. Now, it's interesting, like a kind of a character quality that pops in as I'm kind of getting to know you and listening to you talk is self-reliance. You have a lot of self-reliance. So like, where does that come from in you? How did that grow or build, and kind of what made you have that ability to tap into a mindset of like, hey, like it's me to help me. That's it.
Well, I mean, listen, as kids, like I said, man, we ate from garbage cans, no joke, right? I ate, and my half served me out of creation and stuff like that. And I went through a lot of racism as a kid. I remember one time, I walked on the wrong side of the street and I got really beat up really badly, and I didn't even know why. And I was like, I came home, I was a troublemaker as a kid. Mom was like, oh, you fucking, what did you do again? I'm like, I didn't do anything, Mom. She's like, no, bullshit, what did you do? I'm like, I have no idea. Same as there's an N word for black people, there's derogatory words for Serbians in Croatian. They kept calling me that word and they beat me up because it happened by Croatian people, kids. And then my mom had to sit me down. This is what racism is. This is and all that. So and then we had no food. You eat by the garbage and everything. And you just rely on yourself. And when, like I said, man, my mom was a strong cookie. Like when there's like a peace treaty got signed, and then we're gonna escape, and then my dad couldn't leave because he was in the army. And my mom took a handgun and a pistol, and she walked from Bosnia to Croatia. It took us 3 weeks. We hitchhiked. We slept on the street. We bribed and all that stuff and everything. And then my mom, like, we had no idea what relatives were. So we
and
just
how old were you at the time?
I was about 10, 11.
So 10, 11 years old, you're getting your metal tested on that level.
But did
it occur to you like what it was that you were experiencing, or did later in life did you look back and go, holy shit?
Both. Normality is normality,
right?
Whatever it is, whether you have $100 million or you're in debt $1 million, right?
Yeah.
Eventually, reality becomes a reality. So at the time, you kind of understand and you're scared and stuff, but you look at your mom and do this and do, and she, like I said, my mom was a strong cookie. She just took us out, and then we went to the city. We had no idea where relatives were. We kind of knew, let's say, like, I know you're in Yaletown. Yeah. And then she took us a day and a half. My mom just walked. She just knocked door to door. Do you know this person? No, next door. In the 8 hours, we slept on the street. Then wake up, more energy, keep doing the same thing. And I'll never forget it. And she knocked one time, and then my uncle opened the door. My mom just collapsed. Yeah. Crying. And that was 4 weeks. Took us to get there and stuff. So, like, life is hard. You know what I mean? And so martial arts is easy to me. It's my own little bullshit meter that keeps me humbly in love with life. So it's so interesting, like that, something like most people, I think, watch, martial arts or boxing, whatever it is, and they cannot comprehend being one of the two people in the cage or in the ring. And in your particular situation, you're like, that's easy to me because I've been through what real hard looks like at the age of like 10 or 11 years old. So comparatively, it's like, yeah, I'll get in there and bang. But I tell everybody, man, before that, I won the life lottery. If you do the mathematical odds, there's 8 billion people in the world, 4 million in Vancouver. Not only do I get to live in one of the best countries in the world, I got to live in the best fucking city in the world. If you do the mathematical odds, I won the life lottery. And I'll never forget it, man. I came here, I was like 12 years old. I went into high school, or 13. And I was grade 8. I'll never forget it. There's like this teacher, oh, well, welcome, blah, blah, blah. She was just talking normally. And she was like, welcome kids, grade 8, this and that. And you guys can do anything you want in the world. That was the first time I heard it. I just raised my hand.
Yeah.
And she's like, yes. I'm like, what do you mean anything? She just looked at me weird, like, yeah, like anything. Raised my hand up the third time, like anything? She's like, anything. That was the time my imagination, I just started looking around. I'm like, my parents are working hard. It was like a first generation of a lot of Serbian, like mixed people that came in here after the fall of Yugoslavia. Everybody, I'm like, fuck, man, there's got to be a better way in this. And that's where I said the imagination of creativity and freedom and just follow your heart and all, kind of bit into that as a kid. And then I just started going down the wrong paths. Like I got kicked out of high school and I was going down the wrong paths and all that stuff. But then once I bit into the martial arts apple, and I'm like, hey man, this is my meal ticket. This is I got nothing else.
Yeah.
Either there's trouble in the street because I was a street kid, I got kicked out of high school, all that stuff, or sports.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to fully transition and stuff. But once I made that leap, man, I'm like, I hang on to this like my life depends on it, because it does.
Yeah, it's amazing how, like everyone's story is so obviously unique, but there is a common theme in boxing as well as martial arts. It truly saves lives and takes kids off the streets, and otherwise would have gone down really bad paths.
Oh my God, I would
course corrects people, right? And in the nature of violence, there's peace.
100%, man. To be violent, you have to be peaceful, right? And and people, it does. It really does play a positive role.
So when you got back from Thailand, what happened next for you?
Nothing. I just went into the first MMA gym that was close by. I went in it and stuff. 4 weeks after, I had my first amateur MMA fight. And then after that, I won. Don't know how, but I won. I was a heavier guy. I fought at 208 was my, and I weight cut it and stuff for that. I was that Eastern European guy who'd eat nothing but bread and then be surprised why I got extra 40 pounds on me, right? I wake up in the morning, my mom, when you're poor, you can't eat salami because it's expensive.
Right.
So poor man's food is bread. It fills you up. So my mom always made bread at home. So we grew up just eating bread and butter, and put little strips of prosciutto if you can, and that was about it. But you make sure you get a big loaf of bread, fill yourself up. So that was my first one. I had a fight after that and never looked back.
Wow.
A year or so later, I turned pro. A little bit too early, I think. It was just a little bit too early. I didn't really have it was just one of those weird ones. Like my coach we never talked about it. He's like, hey man, do you want to fight? I'm like, yeah, do you want to get paid or not paid? I'm like, I don't know.
No way.
I get paid.
Yeah.
And then, okay, cool. And I fought and I won. He's like, well, now you're pro. I was like, oh, I didn't know what that meant. So I was like, okay, I kind of felt like my virginity got taken away.
Without you really being consensual.
Yeah.
You're like, okay.
I wanted more of a build-up. I expected a little more. And it was just like, it felt like a one-night stand. Just woke up the next morning.
You debuted and didn't even realize it?
Didn't even, nothing. So,
that's hilarious.
And then that's why in the beginning it was win one, lose one, win one, lose one. It took me a while to put it all together and stuff. And then once I did, things went good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, the first time you fought for a title, tell us about that.
What do you want to know?
What was that experience like for you?
Because
it was almost like a virginity comeback.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, right?
Well, the first 2 times I lost for the title is the third time I won. Right, first time I think I fought Curtis Harriet or Ash. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. I fought one of them and I got dumped and my arm snapped in half. And the second one I lost, I went against Ash. That was the second time we fought. I won 90% of the fight. Like I broke his orbital, broke his nose. I'm just piecing him apart. Life is good, but tough motherfucker. I just made one mistake. I took him on the ground and he took my back and choked me out. And that was the first time I was like, fuck, I got my heart broken. And kind of the bittersweet of reality where you just never fucking know. Right.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, and then finally the third time I fought for the belt, that I actually won it. So So it took me a bit. It took me a bit to get the belt and stuff, but it felt great, man. It felt like a stamp of approval. Yeah. You know what I mean? And never
when you
back.
already had the the respect for the process of that constant grind. So it doesn't sound like there's any quit in you.
Well, you know what I heard I fucking find fascinating. I listen to a lot of fucking coaching. The reason I love coaches is because they figure out a mind. And all as a coach is doing is managing personalities, right? And I was listening to this. She actually happened to be a female coach for USA soccer. She's one of the best coaches and stuff like that. And I was listening to her. She's like, as a champion, she's like, to be a champion, think of it, you climb a really big mountain, right? The air is thin. You can't stay too long, but you can enjoy the view. So if you stay there too long, the air is thin, you become weak, you can't defend it as much. So think of every time you're defending a belt, you're reclimbing the mountain. So climb back down, which means the challenger and the champion should have the same mindset because they're both climbing the hill at the same time. If you get to the top, don't stay too long. And I really like that analogy. Like, so every time I do fight for the belt and stuff, I really think I'm a challenger because it's the same fucking difference. The belt is for the taking.
Yeah.
So I'm not a champion, I'm a challenger.
Yeah.
I just happen to be fight for it last. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. So I don't look at myself as a champ. I see myself as a challenger.
That's a really interesting way of putting that. I love that. Now, something else you said in the pre-show, you were talking about how you broke down the way you see different martial arts.
100%.
Go through that, because I thought that was awesome.
Well, like I said, like I look at wrestling honestly as efficient force, because in wrestling you have to be strong. So whoever's the strongest but most efficient, you know what I mean? And wrestling to me is a mindset with a lifestyle. They just have a different mindset. Now, depending on your lifestyle, depends how successful you are. So that's what I look at it. It's efficient power. They look to be efficient and powerful. Boxing is perfection. It's perfection. That's what it is. It's a pursuit of perfection. That's what boxing is, right? Kickboxing, it's controlled aggression. That's what kickboxing is. Muay Thai, it's controlled violence. You know what I mean? And that's how I look at all those sports. They all have their unique mindsets, and they have a different, unique mind of approaching the same problem, which is, you know what I mean, violence, right? And that's why I love boxing. Boxing is perfection. I took a lot of like footwork and stuff that I tell whoever I teach, what does every sport have in common? Footwork. What do all great athletes have in common? Footwork. What makes them unique is a left hook, head movement, cardio, right hand, a soccer kick, a dunk, but footwork. And that's one thing I started really appreciating from boxing that I contribute to so much of my success as a martial artist.
Well, I think also like the Eastern European style of footwork has brought boxing to just another level. You see the way Usyk moves, Dimitri Bivol, like these guys are bringing and constantly circling to the opponent's left.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to watch. Like, how much of that have you studied, or do you listen in, and how much of that is useful for mixed martial arts? Because there's translation, and there's also things that don't work about boxing, right?
Again, know your audience. That's all I'm trying to say, right? If that's what I tell, know your audience. That's what's mixed martial art. So gatekeepers depend on matchups. Right? Because you win one, you lose one, you win three, you lose one. You're always up and down. Those are gatekeepers. Champions have the intellectual ability to adapt to the problem that's in front of them. So know your audience. Don't stand in a wide boxing stance if the guy's a Muay Thai kicker. But don't stay in a Muay Thai stance if the guy's a wrestler. Right? So there's so nothing works and everything works. You just know your audience. And then that's how I say. So I always tell, never follow a person who teaches and preaches an absolute, because one answer doesn't solve every problem.
Absolutely.
Right? So if somebody tells you, do this stance for martial arts, well, you're a fool. You know what I mean? You can take certain aspects of it and stuff, but again, martial arts is all adapting. That's all it is, right? And
problem solving at 100 miles an hour.
Problem solving at 100 miles an hour. That's all it is.
Yeah, well, someone's trying to slap you. Yeah, absolutely. So, and talk about BJJ and how you were breaking down the different disciplines. How do you break down BJJ from a mindset?
Creativity. Right? Because you see these days, there's so much creativity, and that's how you can see a guy who's not as physically strong, but he can be clever. It's literally creativity. And these days now, obviously on online right now, I feel BJJ is going through its own kind of identity crisis a little bit.
Yeah, break that down for us, because I agree with you.
Well, I mean, they just don't know what they are, right? They want all the glory of mainstream, but they all want the violence and stuff of the underground world. You know what I mean? So they're kind of having this they don't have a moral compass. Right now, is the leg locks frowned upon that are not frowned upon? You know what I'm trying to say? Is guard pulling frowned upon? How do we do the whole system? Do submissions only, not submission points? What's value? What's not? So they're really going through that, like I say, like identity crisis, and nobody wants to work as a team. Like I always say, like even with society these days, everybody's trying to win an argument. Nobody's trying to solve it. And that's how I feel in jiu-jitsu right now, is nobody's trying to solve an argument. They're just trying to win the argument, which comes down to, let's just yell at each other louder that I'm right.
Yeah.
And it's a stalemate, right?
Yeah.
The more you yell at me, I'm right. The more I yell at you, you're wrong. So that's what you're just trying to win it. You're not trying to solve it.
Yeah.
Which means both sides, when it comes to systems of submission only and points and stuff like that, but there's somewhere middle ground. I'm not an expert to do it, but that's how I feel the sport is going through, and it's slipping more and more towards karate, because karate used to be deadly sport, blah blah. But once it gets commercialized to make money and please sponsorships, not the arts itself, it gets diluted.
Mm-hmm. Now, and within that sort of BJJ identity crisis, we've also seen it become massively popular, from something that was just like, you do what does that stand for, to something that like everyone's sister is starring.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like,
let me ask you a question though. When you say massively popular, on what end?
I just
attendance-wise or financially wise?
Yeah, great question.
That's when you say popular. Yeah, the numbers are up. Financially, they're not in the BJJ world. It's still a very poor community, but attendance are up. So the sponsorships are winning, and then the people that put the tournaments are winning, and then the guys that are losing are the athletes, right?
I think more from like just a Gen Pop perspective of hobbyists, people coming in and trying the sport. It is blown up that way.
100%.
Why do you think that happened?
Like many reasons. Like one, people are getting more educated. Just like any subject, the more education you have, the more less emotional decision you make, right? Mm-hmm. So I think people are just saying, listen, man, it is like violence is part of society. And I also think it is a safe sport that any gender, any size, and any person can kind of dabble into, right? So it's a safe way to kind of iron it out and get a little bit better and stuff like that. So I think that's mainly why.
Interesting. Yeah, I was trying to think the other day. I'm like, what sort of like was that tipping point? Like, you know, things usually in popularity scales, there's always a tipping point that happens, and next thing you know, it's like landslide. And I was kind of trying to figure out like what that tipping point was for people. And I was wondering, it kind of happened around the COVID-ish time. I feel like it really started, you know, hitting the ground, maybe 2020, 2019 or something, from like just a gen popularity perspective. And I wonder if there's something to that. I wonder if there's something.
Listen, one answer doesn't, you know what I mean? I'm sure there is. Like, it's a contribution of everything, you know, 10% COVID, 10% mainstream, more gyms popping up, less gyms closing down. So there's like this, it's like when, you know, you never knew which gyms were going to survive, which not. And there's a lot of, and then you didn't know if the shit was going to go worse or bad. So a lot of people are like, hey man, I gotta learn how to defend myself. Right. And I'm not saying every gym invested into, but 90% of gyms that survived invested into blinds.
Yeah.
So
for sure. Talk to us about how that was for Universal that time.
Emotionally frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a heavy time.
It was. You just survive. How, what, where, you know, we all did whatever we did, and you know, you try to play within the rules, but at the end of the day, you got to feed yourself, right? So you stay within the route, you know, within the rules, but at the end of the day, man, if I'm gonna go down, I might as well go down fighting. And we all had different types of fighting. Somebody was going through privates online. Somebody was bluntly open. Other people were just kind of half open, half closed. So we all kind of winged it because they were changing new things every time. So, but I don't care. Doesn't matter. Even if it fell apart, it makes no difference. I know what I want to do, and I do it because I love what I do, and I would have made another gym anyway. So if it died out, it made no difference to me. I would have popped up anyway. So
now what was that like for you as a competitor and as an athlete during that time? What did you like? Was that difficult for sort of the trajectory that you had in mind with
the best years of my life?
Yeah.
Took the best years. I'm 38.
Yeah.
Right when we opened up a year ago, 37, 36 and a half, 3 years close, 33 to 36.
No events, no fighting,
no events,
minimal
no
sparring.
Anything. And then now I'm in that weird lingo where, listen, the worst thing you can ever do to an old man is make his life on a potential. So I'm potential. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. It's fucking every fight, almost, right? So it's like everything to me is based on potential. I'm tired of fucking potential. I want to cash it in, right? So now I'm kind of getting at that age where I want a family, I want kids, I have a successful business, I have new generation. I'm kind of lingering where, man, I feel good. I feel healthy. I feel youthful. So I still feel like I got a couple of years to do what I want to do, but I want to do it at the highest levels. But I'm almost there. So I have this conflict what the smart thing to do is. Do you leave on the top, or or am I in it too long? So that's kind of where I'm having that midlife crisis with my career.
Interesting. And what is your gut kind of on that right now?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Oh, go for it, man. I'm not afraid to lose. Listen, I had massive fights. One thing I fucking realized, okay, this weekend, what was the biggest fight? Pereira and Adesanya, right? It's news for 2 days. After, nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Nobody gives a fuck. So there's no pressure on me. It doesn't matter. You either get pity hugs or congratulation hugs. Once you leave their sight, people don't care about you. Not in a bad way, in a healthy way. Even once I leave, I'm not going to think of you. My life problems come away. Yeah, it'll cross my mind. I hope she's good. And beyond that, give it a week. I won't think of you for months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which means there's no pressure. There's only pressure the one you put on yourself, and I'm not afraid to lose. I'm not. So it doesn't matter. I'm in a good place in life.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And like, what a good mindset. And I think that, it's, it'll play out. I think you're ultimately in control of where that goes.
Yeah. And I don't corner myself. Like I'm, how do I say this politely? Like,
don't worry about politely.
No, not even politeness. Like, it's like, I don't try to be poor rich. What I mean by that is people have 10 pairs of shoes, but they can't pay their cell phone bill. You know what I mean? So I'm good. Like I as an immigrant, your core has to be strong. You know what I mean? So that's what I do. I do all the right stuff. I do yoga. You know what I mean? I pay my bills. I have savings. I'm in a good place in life. You know what I mean? So I'm not acting out of desperation, which means, listen, UFC won't give me a stamp of approval in life that I'm good or I'm not. I am fucking good. I travel the world. I train with the best guys, with the UFC guys. I know I belong up there, right? But not everybody gets what they deserve, and that's the reality of life, right? But I want it. I'm working hard for it, and here's my motto: you aim for perfection, but you live in reality. And that's how I conduct myself. I truly am. I aim for perfection. I want to be a UFC champion, but I live in reality. Life is life.
Are you spending more time or equal parts time? Like, obviously you're running a business, and are you coaching as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you have, are you coaching amateur? You're coaching pro?
Both. Everything. Both. Coaching. I'm developing my guys. I've a handful of young guys that are part of my gym and stuff like that I really think, man, they can shine in life, right? But I'm coaching, like, I have an inputs on some of people's like training camps asking for help and stuff like that, but they're not my guys, but I love helping out, man. I play a role. I realize I just don't care. Like, I tell them all, man, I'm like, I don't care as a coach. I shouldn't. It's your dream. I only care 2 levels under you. So how much you care that's how much I care 2 levels under you, right? Because I shouldn't care about your dream as much as I do. And my job as a coach is not to make you work hard. My job as a coach is to make you fall in love with the sport. How you treat things you love is how you treat things you love. That's your character that I have to kind of help you out, iron out. But I can't make you train hard. As a coach, you get quantity, not quality. Quality comes from self-care of the product you produce, right? So once you love something, you know what I mean? Then if you cherish it, you work hard on it, then you're good. So I coach, but I don't overstep my boundaries. I don't care.
Right.
Like, I don't care in a healthy. I tell them all, like, you're not my meal ticket.
Yeah.
I tell all my fighters, you guys don't get it. I don't need you to eat well. I need you to be successful so you can eat well.
Yeah.
You need to fight for your life. I fought for my life. I'm good.
Yeah.
So this isn't some manipulation that I need you. You're my golden ticket. I don't care.
Yeah.
You show up. You don't. Don't care. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Responsibility is on your shoulder to get better in life.
Yeah. Interesting. I guess what I was kind of like thinking was, you're still trying to be an active competitor. And then there's also, I've seen it a few times play out where people kind of like their competitive career and then their coaching career, it's like kind of clashing a little bit because the amount of yourself that you need to invest to being a professional athlete performing at the highest level is going to get subtracted upon by anything else that you're putting time into, including coaching, like your personal life, your business, whatever. It deducts from that energy and that time, right? So how do you balance being a coach and then being a competitor at the same time?
To me, it adds. I get to be in the fucking gym. I get to be in the fucking gym like 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day.
Do you think that's a mindset thing? Because I've seen that go wrong.
Oh, I fucking love it.
Yeah, okay.
I love martial arts. Do you know what's different between a good coach and a bad coach?
Tell me what you think.
A bad coach runs out of options in life, so he becomes a coach. A good coach chooses to be a coach. I'm here by choice, not by because of life failures and eliminations of my possibility to be successful. And this felt, so I choose to be here. So I love what I do. I'm like, I'm in the gym all the time. Even before I came here, I did yoga, sauna, weights, swim, did a private, train, shadow box, came for a walk. Like I love it. Life is precious. Life is beautiful. I have energy. I wake up in the morning, I'm drooling of motivation. Like, man, I'm in the gym all the time. To me, I get to teach and I train. When I do privates, I spar with them. I get to train. Like I'm training all the time. I'm getting better. I'm dissecting. I'm watching what you do. I love it. I love it. To me, it doesn't take nothing. It adds.
Amazing. And I think that's maybe like something unique to you or like a framing thing, because I've definitely seen it go wrong for either the student isn't getting the kind of coaching that they need because the coach is like split between like, well, I got to spend time over here if I still want to be a competitive athlete, or there's like an identity crisis around, well, am I relevant anymore? Am I going to be, be able to perform at the highest level still? And then it's kind of like this power struggle within the coach that's also trying to, still be a competitive athlete in their prime. So I think that's a really, really amazing mindset. And you're right. Like it is a blessing, obviously.
But it's also, you have to work. Everybody has to work. This is what I don't get about people. Even one of my students was like, oh, do I work or do I train full time? Right. But I'm like, okay, but if you can handle a 4-hour-a-day job, 4 days a week, how are you going to handle fame? When you have $1 million, podcast, shoe line, traveling the world, girls, cocaine, drugs, you can't even handle, but it's true, right? If you can't handle a 4-hour gig in a job, you give you give 2 fucking shits about it. How are you going to handle fame, bro? Yeah. How are you going to handle, you can't do that 4 hours a day, 3 times a week, but you think you're going to handle fame, $1 million, girls, using bad management, drugs, you know what I'm saying? Like, right? So
what do you think it comes down to? Like a lack of discipline?
This system doesn't produce enough hungry bellies for you to be motivated enough to sacrifice everything to be successful, right? The environment, it's not as cruel.
There's no scarcity, it's just abundance.
But it's exactly, and then why would I sacrifice 10 years, best years of my life, 20s? I tell them, all my students, hey man, careful. You're giving me 2 most valuable things you possess, your finance and your time. Invest it wisely, because I already got what I wanted out of you. Make sure you get what you want out of this deal, right? You know what I mean? So you're sacrificing best years of your life. Make sure you get something out of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. There seems to be a super a shift sort of in the younger generations coming up too as well. And I think a lot of like the younger generations.
You know why?
Well, I think part of it comes down to what you were saying too, is like things are too fucking easy.
But also because the double-edged sword with this sport becoming a mainstream, you're not attracting tough guys, you're attracting athletes. The athletes conduct themselves differently so they're thinking as athletes, oh, my knee's a little bit busted, I'm taking 2 weeks off. As a fighter says, fuck it, I'm fighting. Yeah. Right? So when you attract more athletes, the mindset becomes a bit different. Right? There's a difference between a fighter and an athlete.
What do you think is the perfect formula? What ratio of toughness to fighter or to athlete?
I always said that before. You have to be stupidly intelligent. If you're too smart, you overthink. If you're too stupid, you have the game plan. You have to be intelligently stupid to be successful in any type of aspect you do in life. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's talk about the raw clay of that. Is that nature over nurture? Like is this individual coming out like that, or are they learning to be that way?
No, they're learning, man. I always say, man, I'm a born a fighter. Nobody's born a fucking fighter. Some people are born tougher than you. Nobody's born a fighter. How do I know? Because if you're not a trained person, you react instinctually. So if I throw something to your face, you're acting instinctually, which means it takes years and years and years for you to react normally and properly and intelligently. So it doesn't matter how tough you are. If you're not a trained fighter, you're not a trained fighter, right? So I think tough guys are attracted, but fighters are made.
Yeah, that actually sums it up. Awesome. Now, what do you prefer? Do you have a preference? Grappling or striking?
I go through my phases, man.
Yeah. What phase are you in right now?
Wrestling phase. Oh my God. I just can't get enough. For the last 3, 4, 5 years, I've been wrestling. And actually, don't judge me because you will. But I've been falling in love more with gi jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Okay. Recently?
About a couple of years.
Do you want to have a talk and a little cry after the podcast together?
Yeah, preferably.
We can put on some rash guards and then you'll feel like yourself again.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about the gi, like, cause it is this, like, it is the age old debate, like gi, no gi, like what about the gi is you're falling in love with again?
I don't even understand what the debate is. Like, I don't understand fucking this human nature to dissect things. They're both fucking good and bad in their own way. Yeah. Listen, no gi is more athletic. and it's more cardio based. Gi is more technical. So if I'm sore and beat up and I'm working my technique, give me my fucking gi.
Yeah.
But if I want to work my cardio, my explosiveness, and my ability to control without the proper hooks, give me my no gi.
Yeah.
And that's how I look at it. Like there's no one is no better than the other. This is what kickboxing is not better than boxing or their Muay Thai. It's subtle differences that they both have their fucking shit you can use and not use. So.
But you have no, like, between striking and grappling, you have no preference for what you enjoy training more?
Listen, how I think, I'm a striker. Yeah. I think as a striker.
That's what I was thinking. Like, you started in boxing.
I think like a striker.
Yeah.
That's how I think. Like, when you step forward, the weight is here. Okay, she didn't jab. She put the weight. Like, I think, analyze, feel everything as a striker. But because I think like that, I just love grappling. Like it's just this new bug that keeps me entertained mentally and keeps me stimulated to go back in the gym. So I love striking and everything. And for me now, striking is kind of just a quality numbers game where I think I have my technique is well enough, but I'm at that numbers game now. Just throw enough quality as in with grappling, I'm learning more. Like the learning curve is much more higher, so I'm much more stimulated last 3, 4, 5 years because I'm learning so much more.
Which discipline do you think has the biggest syllabus? Because I would argue jiu-jitsu has like the biggest
What's syllabus?
Like learning syllabus. Like if you were to write the book on jiu-jitsu of every technique, strategy, like every aspect of it, I feel like that's the biggest textbook in the library. Like over boxing, for example. What do you think?
Now, yes, but how much of the jiu-jitsu shit is bullshit? That's the thing, though. Like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It's becoming entertainment. As like, you know, it's like jiu-jitsu is kind of like China. They just produce quantity. You know what I mean?
Amazon.
Yeah, it's just
pump it out.
Just pump it out, right? And then when you go to its highest levels, man, none of that shit works. You know what I mean?
I see some of this shit on Instagram. I'm like, I mean, it looks flash, but like, is that useful?
Do you know how it's not? Because the minute you see a fancy move that works, what's the next clip you see? Landing in a jiu-jitsu match. That's the first thing you see. You see a good counter right hand. What's the first thing you see? You see a video where it lands. But all these fancy moves, where's the video of you actually landing and even rolling? Well, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of it, like I call it, it's a synchronized dance for men. So jiu-jitsu is becoming, it's like synchronized dance. You know what I mean? So a lot of that doesn't work. But I think, they're both complex. To me, they're both complex. Like at the highest level, easy to learn, hard to master. Right? Same with throwing a punch. Everybody knows it, but good luck landing it.
Yeah, that's such a great way of breaking it down. And it is interesting. Like, so, okay, let's extrapolate that further.
Fuck yeah.
So we've got some of this flash shit on the internet that you're going, that's bullshit. That's ridiculous. Let's take that into the realm of McDojo. You know what McDojo is?
I do.
All right. Okay, cool. So I spoke to Mr. McDojo himself from the McDojo Life Instagram account podcast. Okay. He's got a bunch of shit going on. That is some of the wildest shit I've ever seen when you talk about like cult mentality and human psychology and the manipulation of these people. Have you ever encountered in your professional sphere like master bullshitters and con artists and people trying to sell snake oil?
As my bag is full of snake oils.
And then this is
awkward.
And then if you have, did you choke them out or what?
So what you're saying is you don't want to buy my snake oil. I
mean,
brought bunch.
It depends.
Jesus fuck. Never mind.
Depends how good is it.
Yeah. What type of snake oil it is?
Yeah.
No, actually.
The Black Mamba.
The Black Mamba. No, I haven't. Like I said, I've been lucky enough that I kind of, stepped across some legitimate gyms throughout my day that, you know what I mean? And there's one thing you can't fucking fool as an immigrant, right? You can't bullshit us. You just can't. You just fucking can't, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to get $1 out of us, right?
Amazing.
You're not selling me bullshit. So.
Okay. I mean, and I think like ultimately these people that are like, like selling bullshit, they're probably not coming into
good
like
for them,
real
though.
martial arts gyms.
But here's the thing, though. Those people that fall for that bullshit, they need a place as well. Somebody needs fucking to feel as shitty as it is.
I mean, do they?
No, they don't. But
do they?
No, I mean, listen. I'm not against. Listen, who's the idiot?
So let me ask you an ultimate question. For hustling?
Fuck yeah, I am. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Who's the idiot? Okay, the idiot. Or the one that follows the idiot.
Well, I mean, that's an Obi-Wan Kenobi
But of course
classic.
it is. But that's what I'm saying. Like, who's the idiot? The idiot or the one that follows the idiot? Eventually, blame the follower.
For sure.
So it's like, It's such a tough one because they're both idiots. So
you're right.
So
but
now
it's like the idiot that followed double down. But so the guys that blow my mind in these videos is just like, okay, you've got Sensei Idiot, who's got Sensei Idiot concept that they're trying to like, show to the poor, like unsuspecting minions. And then you got my favorite guy is Buddy, who's like in on it, doing the fucking shit. That guy is like the real con artist, if you ask me. That guy.
Yeah.
So you wake up every day, you put on your fucking
because I don't even blame the master. I'm telling you, if I did this to you guys and you all fell by the 100th one, I'd be like, you know what? Maybe I do have something. I'm not sure what it is.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you. The guy that's in on it, you're the true con artist because you're promoting the bullshit of the guy.
Absolutely. And by the end of that, Master Sensei Idiot is like,
who knows? Such fucking, who knows the master sense, a crazy old man, doesn't know anything, he's scared. Yeah. Just stay away from me. People keep falling. He's like, oh, this is the only place I feel safe. Just puts this weird Komodo on. He just comes in, they're all lost with his teeth. Oh, fell. Okay, good.
It's fucking mental, right?
It is crazy.
It's fucking mental. So I was wondering if you'd ever come across any of these, guys coming into the gym being like, oh yeah, I'm a fucking black belt under like whatever bullshit coming in with their.
I'm good at getting rid of cancers on the mats and stuff like that. So I have a couple of stores I've kicked out. Like one time I don't know if I should say it, but it's like
tell it.
Oh my god,
we're here for the story. Let's go.
So I had this Brazilian guy come in. He didn't speak English very well, but my size, 3-stripe black belt, right? Comes into my gym and I had a brown belt at the time. And it was around the pandemic, so the gym wasn't crazy busy, like 8, 10, 12 people on the mats and stuff like that. So he comes in. And then whatever, like I'll do a technique, okay, we're doing arm bars. And I look over there, he's drilling a completely different arm bar, right? But I'm like, whatever, everybody's got their things, variation stuff, no big deal and all that stuff, right? It's just does rub me the wrong way a little bit, right? Being rude. I'm fucking teach you a left hook. Yeah. Don't throw a fucking left uppercut. Especially you don't know the fucking gym. Don't be rude, right?
Yeah.
So he does that
it's
once.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, does that twice and blah, blah. And then one time we're like, hey guys, we're going to flow roll. And I look over, it's going really hard.
It's cranking
right?
on someone.
Yeah, and so I go up to them like, are you too special? What do you mean? Like, are you too special? They both look at me, no. Then why the fuck do you guys not roll like everybody else? Oh, sorry, we didn't know. No, it's all good, no big deal, blah, 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 right? And then, so he's only been there for like a week, right? And it comes the next day, and then like one of my students comes up to me, hey, coach, can I talk to you? I'm like, oh, what's up? He's like, I don't know if I'm being rude. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, the new guy that came in, he's like, we must bow before we and you roll. Like, first of all, nobody's going to tell me how to fucking conduct myself on my mats. What do you mean bow? What do you got to bow? What do you mean bow? I'm not fucking bowing. I'm not fucking bowing before this weird dick-sucking fucking ego shit to bow. I'm not fucking, can we just handshake and be normal human beings? Yeah. Like, what is this fucking crazy? Yeah. So I'm like, no, don't bow. This is my gym. Yeah. I say how we conduct ourselves here. We're fucking all humans. We're all equal. Yeah. I'm not fucking bowing. So that kind of pissed me off. He goes hard, blah, blah. So it's about the 15 now. And I come in, and this is where I fucking lost. So I'm literally, showing the technique, and he's stretching as I'm showing it. Yeah, but he's looking the other way. He's
and
the veins just fucking popping up. In the middle of the fucking technique, as I'm showing, gets up and goes to the fucking bathroom.
Wicked.
And I'm like, fuck this shit. Yeah. So he comes out of the bathroom, and I come up to him like, did I fucking disrespect you? Excuse me. I'm like, did I fucking stutter? Do I fucking disrespect you at all? No, then why the fuck do you feel the need you're going to disrespect? Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm like, why do you feel the need to fucking disrespect me, you fucking piece of shit? Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. Excuse me, get the fuck out. You know you don't have discipline. You have no fucking courtesy. And you come my fucking mat, walk out with either you leave now, or I'm going to ask everybody to leave. I'm going to fucking break you in half, you piece of fucking shit. Yeah. Like I lost that was like where I kicked. So I'm like, I'm big at backstory. Like I'm big at getting cancer out of my gym. You know what I mean? And then,
So did he leave?
Oh, he left. Oh, fuck yeah, he left. Now I'll fucking kill him. Get the fuck out of here, man. I'll lock everybody out. Like, jiu-jitsu guys and boxers and all you fuckers are hilarious to MMA guys at the top. I'll eat all of you guys up. It doesn't matter what you are. If you can't wrestle, you're in trouble. If you can't box, you're in trouble. If you can't Muay Thai, you're in trouble. I can do it all. So it doesn't matter what you can do, I'll do the opposite. I'll fuck you up. You know what I mean? And I'm like, get the fuck out. And I lined everybody up. I'm like, listen, guys, it doesn't matter who you are. We all get the same respect on the fucking mats. I don't care if you're a UFC champ or a white belt, man. We all earn our places on these fucking mats. And if somebody disrespects me, imagine what they think of you. Nobody deserves to come here in our fucking gym and not show us the proper respect that we show to people, right? So I'm very good at kicking cancers out. So I never had anybody come into my gym dojo to wrap it all up. To all that shit, man. Get the fuck out of here.
That blows my mind because to me, like, I've seen some pretty, like, and from the boxing world, I've seen some pretty, like, dodgy behavior.
Oh, 100%.
Like, dodgy, like, you know, it's a couple guys sparring, never met before, and it's a dog fight. And everyone in the gym's like, fuck, and like, you're going in next.
But it's coach's fault.
And,
it's coach's fault.
100%. It goes from the top down. There's no context to the sparring. There was no, it wasn't like, nothing was done right.
No.
But I've seen some dodgy behavior in boxing, but when I entered the jiu-jitsu world, I was like, man, this is like, everyone's really fucking nice. And there was a culture of respect.
Yeah, because you're no-gi. They're all potheads. Yeah, of course they're fucking nice.
They've got like, well, and then you got Ghost Grappling making like rash guards with like marijuana leaves all over.
Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, except you get introduced every time because they forget about you.
But you know what? I started in gi. And I actually like love the gi, but I found that the culture was so different.
Well, it's very cultish. Like the gi, even jiu-jitsu right now has become very cultish. Like there's the 10th planet, there's the Gracies, there's like everybody's just kind of like it's becoming like a mindset more than just like let's learn everything, right? But
that's so funny. I love that. That's a great story. I bet you got loads of those.
Listen, man.
You gotta start your own podcast, like stories from the mats with Dejan or something.
Yeah. No, it's just me losing my cool to random people. So no,
that's great
fine.
though. You know, sometimes they deserve it. I'm sorry.
They do.
Especially that guy. Like, you know what? Honestly, nothing's more disappointing to me. Nothing is when I have a roll with a black belt where I'm like, oh, that was shitty. Like, you fucking cranked on me.
Oh, what a surprise. Another man let another woman down. Oh, no.
and then the podcast
the funny part, she's not used to it. She's always surprised.
But you know what? I've had rolls with black belts where I'm like, that was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life. And it was like, it felt like it was just, and all I could do was just like the whole time I felt like I was learning.
Yeah.
And then I've had some disappointing rolls where it was like the grip of death. Like they took a hold of my gi and that was fucking it. And we did nothing.
Do you know what
I was like, this sucks. This is the most disappointing shit ever. Because I think that it's such a privilege when I get to roll with someone at such a high level that I'm like the whole time I'm having my mind blown. Like it's like when you box someone who's just crystal and you're like, this is what it's supposed to be like. And I'm not a dog. I'm more finesse. Like I always enjoyed finesse.
You like cleverness.
I do. Yeah. I like the athleticism. Like when you were talking about fighter or the athlete, I'm the athlete.
Yeah.
And I don't have that dog. I can.
No,
if I
know what you mean. So this is.
But I appreciate the finesse and the technique and the movement. And I want to have I want to be like wet. Like this is the sexiest, most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. That's what I want to be.
Do you know what I tell everybody? So anytime somebody new comes in, I have the same talk. Before we roll, before we spar, don't have an argument. Have a debate. When it's an argument, what are you doing? You're yelling at each other.
Yeah,
it's a yell. But when I have a debate and a conversation, that's not intellectual debate. Where I'm not trying to win. We're just trying to have a conversation. What's your skills at? Move around. Grab you. Same when I spar and when I do certain things, man. I really have that playfulness of debate.
Yeah.
Let's just.
That's such a cool way of putting it because it is. I think it can be when it's done right. It can be the
most it's a conversation. It's a blazing weed and having this conversation heart to heart with somebody else. But you can have the same thing with your bodies. You know what I mean? And you get to learn whose vocabulary is deeper. And then once you kind of like you say somebody uses intellectual word or that's a nice sweep, you're like, holy shit, that's a cool word or that's a cool. So now that's how I look at it. I just look at it as a conversation.
Yeah, man, I love that. I could talk. Fighting, boxing, grappling all day with you. Yeah, it was amazing. Now, Universal, what's next for you guys?
So I mean, like the last fight card, I had a couple guys fighting and stuff. They did very well, which I was very happy about and stuff. And I'm more nervous when they're fighting than me. I chew on my nails and stuff like that because I can't help it. I fucking love it, and I know what it's like, and it's such a special little thing to walk with them and to be there and stuff. So they fought. So BFL is doing a fight card. So I'll be fighting on that one.
Awesome.
Which I'm fucking excited. I'm motivated, man. And I'm fighting the guy that beat Saeed the last fight. He's a Brazilian guy and stuff.
Yes.
So I asked for him right away. It was between him or the main event, JT Money. He ended up losing. So that's a great fight. That stylistically scares me because it's a terrible matchup and stuff. And he's tough, and I'm fucking excited for that. And I have a couple other guys fighting on that one, so it's gonna be kind of hard for me. Because when I'm in the back, I'm emotionally disconnected. If you win, I don't care. You know what I mean? We'll talk afterwards, but I don't. I'm just awkwardly cold. I'm cold and calculated in the back. So if you're happy, if you're hurt, I just don't care right now. That's my night. So I have a couple guys fighting, so I'm not gonna be cornering them. I'll be a little more emotionally disconnected from them. But after that, fucking. I'll be excited,
Amazing. I was just at the last event, and I've been to one before that as well, but we'll definitely come. We'll bring the Empire crew out. We'll come in.
Fuck yeah, that'll be awesome.
Yeah, cheer you on. And then we got a show in July, so we'd love to have you there.
Would love to come out.
Come and see some professional boxing. And then we've got UFC coming back to Vancouver in July, I believe. Amanda Nunes.
June 9th.
June 9th. We got Amanda Nunes on the headliner. Are you going to be coming out for that?
So maybe. I have a weird thing. So I had a rule with myself, okay? I had a rule. Even when I travel and I train with people and stuff, I don't go there as a fan. I go as a participator because I belong with these guys. So I always kind of told myself my first walk I do to the octagon at KG, there's going to be when I'm fighting or cornering, never as a fan. So I've cornered Tristan once for his UFC fight and stuff, but I still kind of hope I get to do my first walk to the octagon as a fighter before I watch it as a fan. So I've never watched UFC live yet. So I'm kind of still keep myself more. Every time there's a UFC and I miss it out to watch, I'm like, fuck. So it just motivates me to go train even more to hopefully I get to the first walk in person. So no, as of right now, I'm not watching it live.
Okay, fair. Well, we hope to see you make that walk as a fighter one day as well. And then so you're going to have camp coming up. You know, business is booming. It sounds like things in your life are...
Things are good, man. You know, they're moving like steady. Like as it should be. Not too fast, not too slow, just enough for me to maintain it and enjoy it, but most importantly to keep up with it. So things are good.
Amazing. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you and to chat with you. And you know, I think I could probably do this for another hour.
Yeah, same. Yeah. No, I appreciate it.
Well, what I would love to propose is maybe after the next BFL card, we'll get you back on the podcast and we'll have some chat again.
Awesome.
Okay, amazing. Dan, it was such a pleasure. This has been another episode of the Empire Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Jay, and we'll see you next time.
Make sure to listen, follow, and subscribe to Empire Boxing on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.